You ever see a woman with perfect white heels and a smile that could slice concrete standing in a dingy grocery store, like she owned the ground beneath her feet? Yeah, that's how it started. Not with the blood, not with the glass, not even with the chaos, just my daughter's small voice, asking for chocolate, and a woman who decided that day she was judge, jury, and executioner of everyone under her roof, HOA badge shining and all. Let me back up a sec, I'm just a dad, the kind who keeps a mental checklist of every errand, every little thing my daughter, Ellie, likes. We ducked into this store after school, sandwiched between the community center and the HOA office. Ellie in sneakers that had seen better days, her hair a mess, her laugh bouncing off the aisles. "Just one chocolate bar, Daddy, please," she said, big eyes upturned. I nodded, told her to grab it while I got water. I swear, I turned my back for less than 15 seconds. And then stillness. I come back to see Ellie frozen, candy bar clutched like a lifeline, eyes wide. Blocking her path was Karen. Yeah, her every neighborhood has a Karen, but this one? Silk scarf, caramel hair, eyes that never smiled, and a mouth that spat venom dressed as concern. She leaned in, looked Ellie up and down, said, "Where's your mother?" Voice dripping with honeyed malice. When Ellie didn't answer, she muttered, "Rats breed rats," just loud enough for Ellie to hear, just soft enough to pretend she hadn't meant it. My hands clenched. I wanted to yell, but all I did was step closer, counting every heartbeat, every step, 1, 2, 3. Karen's gaze flicked to me, but settled on Ellie. "Put it back now," she whispered, fake smile stretched tight. Ellie, bless her, just stood there, stubborn and scared at the same time. Karen leaned in, perfume suffocating, then hissed, "Daddy couldn't afford lunch, huh? So you thought you'd help yourself." I watched the cashier look away, everyone else melting into the shelves. No one wanted to get involved. And then she snapped. Karen ripped the chocolate bar out of Ellie's hand. "Trash doesn't get treats," she sneered, and before I could move, she reached out and clawed Ellie's cheek, nails dragging 4 angry red lines down my baby's face. Ellie screamed, staggered, holding her cheek. And the world, man, the world just watched. No one helped. Not the cashier. Not the guy down the aisle who ducked out of sight. Karen, brushing invisible dust from her blouse, said, "This store used to have standards now. It just lets beggars roam free." That's when I broke. You think you know rage? Real rage isn't loud. It's cold, clinical, precise. I walked straight at her. Karen's face twisted from smug to startled in a heartbeat. "Let's be reasonable," she said, stepping back, her voice suddenly uncertain. "Your daughter was being inappropriate." Ellie whimpered behind me, "Daddy," she hurt me, and that was it. No more words. I grabbed Karen by the wrist, the one she used to hurt my daughter in, pulled her forward, spun her, slammed her against the nearest metal shelf. Cans rattled. Karen's eyes went wild. "You're insane. I'll call the board." "I'm the board," she screamed, clutching at her gold badge, like it could shield her from what was coming. But that badge didn't mean anything to me. I dragged her through aisle after aisle, her heels scraping, her scarf falling, her perfect hair coming undone. I wasn't gentle. She tried to scream, tried to threaten lawsuits, condemn my house, the whole 9 yards. But nobody stopped me. The crowd just watched, maybe some of them recording, maybe some of them finally feeling something like justice. Let me tell you the real twist. The teenagers. Phones up, whispering, "That's the lady who banned Halloween last year. She slashed my bike tires." Her reign of HOA terror wasn't a secret. As I shoved her against a stack of paper towels, she finally crumpled. Mascara streaked, shoes gone, her voice thin and desperate. "You don't understand what you've done." She was stealing. She deserved discipline. I pulled her chin to face the overhead camera. "You want a record? Let's make one." Nobody stopped me. Not the staff, not the shoppers, not the people outside gathering at the windows. I dragged Karen to the front of the store, through silent aisles and faces turned away, her legacy in every terrified glance. I turned her to face the glass. She hissed, "You don't know who I am. I run this place." I just said, "You hurt my daughter. Now it's your turn." And I threw her straight through the display. Glass everywhere, boxes, cans, snacks raining down. Karen landed in the wreckage, blouse torn, hair a mess, badge bent, her power shattered along with the window. Ellie stood by the entrance, clutching her chocolate bar, her cheeks streaked with blood and tears, but her eyes dry, watching. I picked up that HOA badge, held it to the security camera, and tossed in the trash. There's your president. Tell the board I returned her. Nobody helped Karen up. We walked out. The silence in that store was louder than any siren. I watched Ellie's face at home, her scar already darkening, and as the sun set, my phone started buzzing. Videos everywhere. Karen, the infamous HOA president, caught hurting a child, then getting exactly what she gave. People weren't shocked. They were vindicated. Her legacy of fines, threats, and intimidation had caught up to her in under 3 minutes. By midnight, the HOA board was imploding. Members resigned, citing pressure, shame, disgust. Turns out Karen hadn't just abused people, she'd abused the budget too. The city inspector announced an inquiry into misuse of funds. Her garage door was spray painted, "Children remember." Neighbors hung up, "We are not your HOA" signs. She was gone, and no one missed her. And Thina let her on my porch. Formal, gold-trimmed, inviting me to join the board, fix what Karen broke, be the community oversight voice. I read it, laughed. Not because I wanted the power, but because they wanted me inside to keep me from tearing down more. I said no, not yet. Sometimes you have to fix things from the outside. Show your kid that titles don't mean squat if the soul behind them is rotten. The first board meeting after the scandal, I stood in the back. Ellie, bandaged, sat in the front row. They tried to honor Meg of me, Karen's seat, her badge, her authority. I took the badge, snapped it in two, held it up. You don't need a new leader. You need a reckoning. I dropped the pieces on the podium. The room exploded in applause, not for me, but for the end of her era. Karen vanished, house empty, her Lexus gone, name scrubbed from the HOA website. But her shadow lingered in every scar, every frightened look from kids on the sidewalk, every neighbor who'd ever gotten a threat disguised as courtesy. A week later, I brought Ellie back to that store. She hesitated at the candy shelf, scared, remembering. "It's okay," I said. "She's not here anymore." She smiled, shy, took her chocolate, and at the register, the cashier nodded on the house. "Tell her she's brave." That was healing right there, a small moment, but enough. We walked home through a neighborhood that felt lighter, freer. Porches glowed, doors painted purple, her most hated color. Ellie asked, "Did you do all that for me?" I knelt down, looked her in the eye. I did it because someone had to stand up. Silence protects no one. She handed me the chocolate. "You take the first bite." I shook my head. "You earned it." People call a scandal. Others call a reckoning. To me, it was a promise never again would silence win here. Some fights don't happen in courts. They happen in grocery aisles, in front of your kid, when you least expect it. How you respond in those moments. That's everything. Because when someone like Karen gets power, fear becomes normal, and you have to be the one to say enough. This wasn't about revenge. It was about showing my daughter she matters. She deserves safety. And if the world says to stay quiet, then the world is wrong. So, tell me, have you ever seen someone abuse their power like Karen did? What did you do? Drop your story below. I read everyone. If this meant something to you, hit like, share it. And if you're still here, still standing, type "still standing" in the comments. Because the ones who make it to the nth degree, usually the ones who fight when it counts.